It's Rick Kamla for Fantasy Points College Football. Looking ahead to Week 5, and I want to get you caught up with how we've been doing against the spread so far. Week 1, hot, 4-1, looking good. Week 2, we were flat at 2-2. Week 3, we hit a lull at 1-4. I was questioning everything, just kidding. And then last week, we rebounded with a 5-0. We're going to try to stay hot here with Washington as a best bet, minus 17.5 at Arizona. The swashbuckling Huskies are 3-1 ATS, 4-0 overall. They're a legit threat for the college football playoff. They've already got a good road cover on their resume, winning 41-7 at Michigan State. Yes, they suck, but it's on the road in the Big Ten, all right? A little bit of credit. This is a great spot for Washington. Arizona last week in their win over Stanford lost their two most important offensive players, quarterback Jaden DeLaura and also running back Michael Wiley. If they can't play, and I don't think they will based on the bubble wrap nature of college football, that would mean that Noah Fifiti threw 4 balls last week, and Jonah Coleman, who's been a pretty good back for them this year, would need to step up in order to keep up with Michael Penix Jr. and a Washington offense averaging 49.8 points per game. I do not see that happening on Saturday night in Tucson. Washington star receiver Jalen McMillan missed last week's game with an injury, but Washington head coach Kalen DeBoer said Monday he feels very optimistic that McMillan will play in this game. Without McMillan, the 7th-ranked Huskies flexed anyway. 59-32 thrashing of California last week. Penix threw for 304 and 4 touchdowns without his number one guy, okay? This line opened at 21.5. And some early Arizona money, bet it down to 17.5. Makes it a banger for us. I would risk 1.5 units on this one. Virginia at Boston College, and I like BC -3 in this one. I want you all to know that Boston College is no longer an unwatchable dumpster fire of losses and quarterbacks who can't get the frickin' rock to Zay Flowers, right? That is not happening anymore. Quarterback Thomas Castellanos has changed all of that with 2 eye-opening performances, albeit in losses. Last week, in a 56-28 L at Louisville, Castellanos threw for 265 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks against a pick-happy Louisville defense, and he rushed for 49 yards and a score on 10 carries. He's a baller. And then go back 2 weeks when BC almost shocked Florida State 31-29. They ended up losing that game. Castellanos threw for 305, 1 score, 1 pick, 95 on the ground on 16 carries with a touchdown. The UCF transfer has been activating his top receivers. Ryan O'Keefe, 20 balls, 214. Lewis Bond, 16 balls, 246, 4 scores. All right. They are now a big play waiting to happen because of Castellanos. Now, let's look at the UVA side. 0-4 overall, 2-2 against the spread. They've averaged 16 points a game in 3 Power 5 matchups against Tennessee, Maryland, and North Carolina State. I do not see UVA scoring more than 20 points this week in a tough road environment, and I like the Eagles' chances of going over 30 points in this game. The UVA defense is allowing 37.8 points per game. Hop on the Castellanos bandwagon now. Risk 1.5 units on this one. This is my other best bet of the week. Moving on, we got Georgia -14.5 at Auburn. I like the fact that UGA just gave up 3 touchdowns at home to UAB and banished Power 5 head coach Tom Herman, who I have loved to bang on over the years because he's terrible, okay? I'm sure Georgia head coach Kirby Smart has been using those 3 touchdowns allowed as screaming moments to get his team playing better for the rivals from Auburn. The top-ranked dogs have not been a sportsbook darling so far. They're 1-3 ATS despite their 4-0 record and an average score of 41-11. Kirby's crew beat the Tigers at home last season 42-10. They went into Auburn 2 years ago and cranked them 34-10. All right. Those teams from Auburn were better than this year's version of Auburn football, which is awful. UGA has been dominating this rivalry. I expect it to continue because check out the Auburn quarterback room. Last week, Peyton Thorne, the Michigan State transfer, Robbie Ashford, eye roll, and Holden Geriner combined for 56 yards passing, no touchdowns, and they lost 27-10 to an okay Texas A&M team. It is hard to see that trio of quarterbacks getting it done, anything done against Georgia's defense. Quarterback Carson Beck lived up to the hype and has so far this year. 1,184 passing yards, 8 total touchdowns in his first 4 games as the guy in Athens, okay? He's been solid. Auburn just gave up 2 touchdown passes in the second half to Texas A&M backup QB Max Johnson. So I'm feeling good about Beck. going to Auburn and getting some stuff done. Georgia's offense has always been powered by the running game. And Dijon Edwards is rolling right now. 184 yards, 3 scores in the last 2 games. He's going to rumble for 100 plus and probably 2 scores against an Auburn defense allowing 134 yards and 1 score per game. Risk 1 unit on this one. I like Arkansas +7 on a neutral field, Jerry World, against Texas A&M. I'm taking the 7 points here with Arkansas. The line opened at 5. Some Aggie money came in, bumping it up to 7. I'm going to go the other way here. Why? It's a coin flip game. You've got 2 solid SEC West teams, neutral field, nationally televised game on. So I will take the 7 points. I like the fact that the underdog has the better quarterback here. KJ Jefferson, one of the most underrated signal callers in the nation, threw for 289 and 3 scores with a couple of picks, rushed for another 48 yards in a heartbreaking 34-31 loss at LSU. In this matchup last year at Jerry World, Jefferson had 171 passing yards, 2 scores, 0 picks, plus 105 yards on the ground with another score. Texas A&M won that game in a thriller 23-21. The Aggies have faced one big-time passing game this year, and it did not go well. Miami's Tyler Van Dyke torched them for 5 touchdown passes. Arkansas also has a big-time passing game with the aforementioned Jefferson and his top receivers. Wide receiver Andrew Armstrong, 24, 273, and 3 so far, and tight end Luke Haas, who has 15 grabs and 3 touchdowns. They're both going to eat at Texas A&M. The Razorbacks are coming off these back-to-back heartbreaking losses, and I think they're due for a pop game and a feel-good game and a win here against Texas A&M. I actually would like them on the money line here as well, but I will take the 7 points for our purposes here. And finally, I'm going under the massive number in Colorado as they host the USC Trojans. 73.5 points. Feels like an over. I'm going under, okay? USC is averaging 55 per game. Colorado is averaging 32 per game. Both teams are suspect on the defensive side. USC allowed 28 points to both San Jose State and Arizona State, all right? And Colorado's defense is getting shredded for 33 points per game. So why are we going under? 1, it's a 12 p.m. Eastern kickoff in Boulder, which means 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. This is going to be a problem. Both teams might be a little sluggish and a little bit flat in that first quarter. Sometimes that's all it takes to go under on a massive total like this. 2, I'm worried about Colorado's offense because they've been playing without star wide receiver Travis Hunter. He has 16 grabs, 213 yards in 3 games. Shedeur Sanders really missed him last week in that mauling at Oregon when they lost 42-6. Finally, the Buffs have allowed 15 sacks in the first 3 games. They gave up 7 more last week in that loss at Oregon. USC can heat up the quarterback. They have 16 sacks in the first 4 games. They're going to drop Shedeur at least 4 more times this week. Caleb Williams and the USC offense, not worried about them. I think ultimately they're going to hold up their end of the bargain, get around 40 points. But I have doubts that Colorado is going to get to 30 points themselves, and I think that is going to drag this below the line here of 73.5. I'm Rick Kamla. Go bang these, go make some money, and I will see you next week here on Fantasy Points. Be well.